Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 394. Once again going solo as DeMonze is still on paternity leave. And I actually, next week, by the way, we'll have a couple shows before Thanksgiving. And then I will be out in Los Angeles as I will get to see DeMonze and get to meet his new baby girl, Mila, which I could not be more excited for. This episode of What's Right with Nick Wright is presented to you by Boost Mobile. We will get right to it, straight to voicemail, presented to you by our friends at Boost Mobile. Michael Penix, really rough year twos for Michael Penix and for J.J. McCarthy in particular. Penix, the worst of it, as he, after an injury-riddled college career, is undergoing season-ending knee surgery. The NFL might play a game in Paris in 2026. That would be sick. And Aaron Rodgers planning to practice today despite having a broken left wrist. Let me tell you guys, as someone who had a broken left wrist not that long ago, seems impossible that one could play an NFL game with it. I'm very interested in how this plays out. Obviously, fractures are different. Everybody's body heals differently. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem super fond of getting hit as is. I can't imagine what it will be like if he's playing a game with a broken left wrist. Reminder to everybody, like, rate, subscribe, review to the pod. It helps us a ton as we, really inch towards 250,000 on YouTube. Follow us on or subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. Those numbers have been great lately, and we really do appreciate that. So even if you watch us live on YouTube, if you just click the subscribe button on your phones to one of the audio platforms, that's super helpful as well. So, as I am inundated because Kevin Wildes is we're going to start talking about the Lakers and LeBron's debut, but a little inside baseball, if you will, to first things first. Kevin Wildes only wanted to discuss a potential Anthony Davis trade if there was a possibility that Anthony Davis would be able to be traded back to the Lakers. And I told Wildes that was not possible, and it was a dumb idea. And so he has now spent the last 30 minutes trying to create a fake trade, and he now has done it involving the Brooklyn Nets being a third team, where they, for some reason that I'm going to have to ask Wildes to explain, trade away multiple of their own first-round picks so they can get a couple second-rounders and Jared Vanderbilt in order to facilitate the Lakers getting Anthony Davis back. KW, I know you don't listen to the pod, but if somebody... okay, here we go. Then he writes, I didn't create it, but you have to believe somebody else did for him. Okay, neither here nor there. Now to the actual show. KW stays a doofus forever. LeBron's back, and I have a lot of takes. So, no athlete in my lifetime has generated more idiotic and immediately self-refuting opinions than LeBron. And I think it's because he's been, for basically as long as daily sports television has existed, LeBron has been one of, if not the main character. And because he has played, throughout the entirety of this medium, and because he has been at the eye of the NBA storm, which, while the NBA has never in his career been the country's most popular sport, but it has been at various times in his career the country's most talked about sport when it comes to sports debate and sports TV and sports talk radio, LeBron is the LeBron commentariat has spawned just some truly ridiculous and, upon reflection, hilarious moments. And these are from, for me, friends and foes alike. I mean, we are 12, is that right? No, it's not right. 13 years ago, my dear pal Dan Lebitard announced LeBron was on the downside and Miami had gotten the best of him. That was 13 years ago. And I'm going to talk about guys that I love and adore, so it doesn't seem like I'm trying to take cheap shots here. Famously, the owner and founder of this company, my mentor, Colin, 8 years ago, said, LeBron, hang it up whenever you want. The NBA's got it from here. It was actually 9 years ago. And that's an all-time clip, A, because LeBron would go on to win multiple championships after that, but B, because he was saying that Ben Simmons is going to take over. Listen, Colin, I was as high on Ben Simmons as just about anybody. I have to hold that L as well. And there, of course, is all the Skip stuff with the clutch, and then the latest Stephen A stuff with the real personal, I don't like that guy. So much of it just outright silliness. And then we got an unexpected dose of it in the week or so leading up to LeBron making his debut, which was, hey, will LeBron be able to fit in with the Lakers? Even though we saw Luka and LeBron and Austin Reaves play together last year. Hey, will LeBron actually make the Lakers worse? Will he screw up what they have going on? These were real conversations, real discussions about the most malleable, most flexible as far as how he can help your team player in NBA history. About arguably the only guy in the history of the league that can legitimately and has literally made an all-NBA team at all 5 positions on the court. Check his basketball reference for that. Was an all-NBA center 1 year for the Lakers and an all-NBA point guard the year after that for the Lakers, late stage LeBron. Was an all-NBA shooting guard as a young player early, and then obviously all-NBA small forward and power forward throughout his career. That guy that can play all 5, and certainly the younger version of him, and to a degree the older version of him, can guard all 5, that guy was going to screw up a team. And then LeBron comes in, keeps his double-digit point streak alive, which is going to be a very fun and funny thing to watch this year because it's obviously an untouchable record. And we'll get more on the LeBron untouchable record stuff in a moment. But he wants to keep it going. But he is, I believe, going to play a very different style this year. That game, Tuesday night, that's the fewest shots he's ever taken in a game he didn't leave with injury. And speaking of the double-digit point streak, one of those games that he left with injury, because there's only been 2 games in his career he took fewer than 7 shots, which is what he took Tuesday night. One, he didn't play the second half because he took an elbow from Dikembe Mutombo. And one, he left early when Solomon Hill fell into his ankle and derailed the Lakers' title defense in the 2021 season. But that game involves one of my favorite LeBron moments of all time, which is Solomon Hill falls into his ankle. LeBron recognizes he has suffered the first truly significant injury of his entire career up to that point, and is going to be out months, and is sitting at 7 points, and the streak is dead. And despite suffering an injury that is going to knock him out for the next 2 months, he pretends he's not hurt badly, stays in the game, gets the ball, takes a corner three, hits it, keeps the double-figure point streak alive, and then is out for the majority of the rest of the season. But that's sidebar. LeBron being dropped in as a team's ultimate Swiss Army knife, and LeBron taking pride in that ability, and LeBron then saying after the game with a smile, yeah, I heard what was being said. I've been you could put me on any team and I would make it work, is just obviously true. And people say that about Kevin Durant all the time. Like, oh, you just drop him in anywhere. And yes, that's true about other players. Great players, you drop them in and they would make any team better. The distinction is, can you drop a player in and can they instantly do at a high level the exact thing that team needs them to do? This Lakers team right now might need LeBron to be more facilitator, cutter, screener than scorer. Unlike some of the other great players in this league, he has the skill set at 40 in year 23 to be excellent at anything. Now, is he the best player in the league anymore? Of course not. Is he a top 5 player in the league anymore? No. But is he still have a legitimate shot at being right around top 10? And is he assuredly, when he's healthy, still a top 15 guy in the league? Yes. And that guy with that malleability helps any team in the history of basketball. Now, is it all right now a moot point for the whole NBA because of who and what OKC is? Maybe. Everybody might be playing for second this year, but we'll see. Things happen. And there's an element of, I don't want to say lack of appreciation, but numbness to what we are seeing at this moment. And this is something that, I've said before, but I don't know that people fully take it in. And especially because, Steph is playing at such a high level at an advanced age. Durant is playing at such a high level at an advanced age. But seeing whether you want to focus on the age 40 part or the year 23 part, it being without precedent is such a wild understatement. Like Kobe Bryant, the late, great Kobe Bryant. How old do you think Kobe was when he played in his final playoff game with the Lakers. I'm going to give it a pause so you can actually think about it. How old was Kobe in his final career playoff game? Are you shocked when I tell you the answer to that is 32? Kobe Bryant did not play in a playoff game with the Lakers after the age of 32. Like a little context to that. LeBron joined the Lakers when he was 34. So, obviously, Jordan was done with the Bulls at 35, 36. Obviously, we've never seen a player play in a year 23, and the only one to get to a year 22 was Vince. I said this a couple years ago, and people laughed. I think we are now seeing it in real time. He'll simply never be bad. And he could easily play at, again, not an MVP level, but a high level throughout his 40s. Barring you're always at this age a catastrophic injury away, but he's ducked that up to this point in his career. And people can have the argument about the greatest player of all time. That is going to age so well on my end and so poorly for so many other folks, because it is, when it does come to, and this isn't the whole discussion, but it is at least a piece of it, the record books, with the way things are going right now, as far as injuries, load management, guys not being able to make it through a full season, LeBron's longevity records are going to, when people look back on him in 40 years, it's going to be like if you look at complete games in baseball right now and you're like, wait, a guy had 40 in 1 year? Like, all of these games, minutes, points, the playoff records are going to be Chamberlain-esque, untouchable, and farcical in the numbers to future generations. And I'm very, very interested to see the full role Bron takes on with the Lakers. Because in game 1 of year 23, he was like, okay, I'll be late stage Magic Johnson. And that's pretty damn good. There's one other Bron adjacent thing I wanted to talk about. And this is one of those things that I imagine will do well on social media or YouTube, and might cause me a little grief, but I can't leave it unaddressed. And I'm not trying to start anything, but it was maddening when I heard it. So, the greatest sports podcaster of all time, the guy who in some ways invented the medium, and a guy I like a lot, Bill Simmons, brought the mailbag back, which is awesome. It's vintage Simmons. It's part of the reason that he's who he is, and it's awesome. And because I'm a fan, I was listening. And he gets asked about the biggest sliding doors moments in NBA history. And he goes to the Draymond groin shot of LeBron in Game 4 of the 2016 Finals, which is a legitimate sliding doors moment. There's no doubt about it. And he talks about how if the Warriors win that title, Durant can't go, to Golden State. So then who wins the next two? Does LeBron ever win in Cleveland? Does LeBron ever go to the Lakers? That is, what does it mean for Steph? Back-to-back championships, he and LeBron then at that moment would have been 2-2. He would have had back-to-back league MVPs, including a unanimous. Simmons talks about all of it, and he's correct about that being a sliding doors moment. But there's two pieces of that commentary that are just, one is enraging, and it's not about Bill, and the other one is, he just must talk to very different NBA people than me. Because what Bill said was, the conspiracy theory that people believe more than any other conspiracy is that the NBA suspended Draymond because they wanted Cleveland to win the title. And I've literally never heard that. Now, I certainly have heard the conspiracy that they suspended Draymond because they hoped the series would go longer than 5. But the idea that in real time, anyone outside of the Cavs locker room, me and Zach Lowe, we're all on the record during this. Everyone's doing media. Nobody else, when that suspension came down, said, oh, well, now I think the Cavs are going to win. That Warriors team was considered the greatest team of all time and had dominated the Cavs through the first 4 games of that series. So the first point is the idea that it is widely thought in NBA circles that the Draymond suspension was going to lead to the Cavs winning the championship. We were all there in real time. That was not a thing. And then to the opinion piece of it, nothing is more maddening for me as a Bron fan than the fact that when that happened, and then the Cavs win Game 5 by 15, and LeBron scores 41 points, the entire media asserts that would have never happened if Draymond was there. The Cavs winning by double digits and LeBron scoring 40 plus never happened if Draymond's there. And then in Game 6, when Draymond is there, LeBron scores 41 and the Cavs win by 15 points. Game 5 of those finals, no Draymond. Bron goes, I'll give you his exact stat line, just so we all are on the same page. 41, 16, and 7 on 55% from the field, 63% from 3, and the Cavs win by 15. So again, 41, 16, 7, 55, 63 splits, 15-point win. Game 6 of the finals, 41, 8, 11 on 65, 75 splits, and the Cavs win by 14. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Oh, hold on. I got to do that because I'm sure I have to fix that. I apologize. I gave you the wrong field goal percentages. Let me do that again because I want this to be accurate. I gave you game 5 of the finals. No Draymond. 41-16-7 on 53-50 splits in a 15-point win. Game 6 of the finals with Draymond. 41-8-11 on 59-50 splits in a 14-point win. It's just revisionist history. And it's the only other reason that's relevant to me right now is that game happened 10 seasons ago. And this guy's still playing. It's just a career that will never be even remotely approached. And it's if you're listening to this right now and a sports fan of this era, the fact that we got to experience Tom Brady going more than 20 years of elite in the mix every single year, 10 Super Bowl appearances across multiple teams, while experiencing LeBron doing the exact same thing in the NBA, it's just unreal. Just unreal. Today's show brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Great week to try out the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app because there's so much going on, not just Week 12 college football, not just Week 12 football, pardon me. The NBA, college football, college hoops all share the stage. Always something to bet on. Sign up with Hard Rock Bet today, and you could score $150 in bonus bets. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you get not only your winnings, but also $150 in extra bonus bets. Not sure what to place your first bet on? Head over to the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. It'll help you out. Loaded with trends, streaks, and stats help guide your picks. Numbers don't lie, and neither does the data in there. Check out the Stats Hub now. Get the edge and bet with confidence. Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook app for whenever you're in Florida, and it's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, coming soon to more states as well. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos every single day. So whenever you're listening, just open the app and check out what you've got any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit. All right, so Chiefs season on the line, Sunday at Arrowhead. I don't like it. It's not what I expected. I thought they were going to give themselves a bit of a margin of error and be right back in the thick of the divisional race by beating the Broncos. That did not happen. And now, as we talked about on Tuesday, it's very, very simple. Run the table, and you might win the division, amazingly. You'll definitely make the playoffs. Go 6-1, and it would be very difficult to miss the playoffs, and you'll be super dangerous going into the postseason. Go 5-2, and you're probably out. Go 4-3, and you're definitely out. and it's a true disaster of a year. That's where they're at, okay? I am not going to be quite as chesty about my feelings and predictions for this game, given what we saw last weekend. Now, Indy, despite the Sauce Gardner trade and the fact that they might have Charvarius Ward back, obviously does not have the defense that Denver has. This game, is in Arrowhead, not on the road. There is no DeForest Buckner. And Daniel Jones has been shaky his last few appearances. All of that makes me feel as confident as I can, given how I feel after that Denver game. Jonathan Taylor is a great, great player. The Chiefs tend not to get gashed by, they're pretty good at least not shutting down, but slowing down great backs. But Daniel Jones is better than Bo Nix, and Bo Nix carved the Chiefs up. So, and this is the Colts off a bye. With all that said, as important as this game is for the Chiefs, it is greatly important for the Colts as well. Because what the Colts all of a sudden have is 7 straight games to end their season against teams fighting for their playoff lives to one degree or another. So they're at the Chiefs. They then get the Texans, who will be on extra rest themselves after tonight's Bills-Texans game. And the Texans will either be 6-5, coming off their best win of the year, or 5-6 in a de facto playoff game. They then go to Jacksonville, then to Seattle, then home for the Niners, home for the Jags, and at the Texans. Really odd for the Colts that they've only played 2 divisional games up to this point in the season. They're both against the Titans. So we haven't really seen, well, not really, we have not seen the Colts play the other 2 legitimate AFC South teams. So a loss here, and things maybe get a little shaky for Indy. A win here, and they're like, hey, why can't we be the 1 seed? So I obviously like the Chiefs in this spot, but they have lost for the short term the supreme confidence that they would have had in this spot at any other moment of the Mahomes era. And the inability to get off the field in 3rd and long is the number one problem for me with the defense. And offensively, obviously, and I've talked about it, Patrick needs to be more precise, particularly on the deep balls. But the biggest systemic issue with the offense right now is teams basically play the pass at all times against Kansas City, and Kansas City doesn't make them pay for it by running the ball. It's just the truth that the total lack of any threat of the under center run game has made it to where Patrick and the passing offense is up against really onerous defensive looks at all times that should be easy to run on, but they won't run the ball. Now, maybe with Pacheco likely back, that changes. One would hope. I also got to acknowledge Lou Anarumo, the former Bengals D coordinator who's now with the Colts, has cooked up some really good stuff against Patrick in his career. So that's the concerning pieces of it. The bright sides of it, so to speak, are this. A week from now, they could be at 7-5. A week from today, take care of business at home against the Colts. Go to Dallas on Thanksgiving. And they'd be 7-5 with 2 games remaining against the Titans and the Raiders, saying, okay, there's 9. And then we have Houston, the Chargers, the Broncos, all in Kansas City. Win 2 out of 3 of our home games, and you become the most dangerous, likely 7 seed in the history of the NFL playoffs. That's where we're at. But it has to start with a win against the Colts on Sunday, and it has to start with Patrick being better, Chris Jones being better, and the Chiefs' ability to get off on the field on 3rd and long being better. One of the other huge stories this weekend is obviously Shedeur making the first start of his career. In Vegas, Dylan Gabriel out with a concussion. Amazingly, he is the 42nd person to start at quarterback for the Browns since 1999. Just a remarkable number. I think in that same time frame, the Packers have had 4. Favre, Rodgers, Love, Willis, I believe are the only 4. Maybe there's like a Sean Mannion mixed in there. But it's certainly not more than 5, and I think it's just 4. Sure, last week was terrible. You don't need to argue with people on the internet about why he was terrible. He was terrible. And it is not an overstatement to say this game right here is by a wide margin the single biggest moment of Shedeur's football life. It is not an ideal circumstance. It is a somewhat ideal opponent. But it is what it is. And Shedeur does not have to be excellent in this game. But if he's awful, there's a world that exists where this is the only start he ever gets for any team. Because we know definitively no team loved him coming out of school. Nobody. There is not a player that teams love that is available in the 5th round. So we know that. We also know that if people were concerned that through no fault of Shedeur's own, there would be a lot of other stuff, media-wise, and nonsense social media stuff that other players and, more importantly, coaches on the team have to deal with if you take him as a backup quarterback. Those concerns have been fully validated. And so, does a world exist where if Shedeur is really bad on Sunday, he does not start again this year, Kevin Stefanski is fired in Cleveland after this year, the new head coach comes in with multiple first-round picks, takes his quarterback of the future, has Dylan Gabriel as the backup, and says, we are not dealing with more chatter surrounding our third-string quarterback, and they cut him. And if that were to happen, based on what teams thought about him going into the draft, do I think it's more than on the board? It's potentially likely that no team would sign up for that? Bringing in that guy to be your third string quarterback? I could see that happening. And that would feel unfair, but there's plenty of guys that were fifth-round picks in this league that if they got a shot or two and it didn't go well, it's just over. It's the NFL. And so by the way, I'm not predicting that he'll be terrible. I think this is actually a pretty good spot for him in this game against this opponent. I am predicting, though, that if he's terrible, and he was terrible last week, that more likely than not, this game is the only game he starts in his career. So, as Marlo Stanfield would say, do it or don't, but I got places to be. The league's going to keep moving. This is Shedeur's moment. Now, the flip side is, if he's excellent, then maybe he just keeps starting for Cleveland this year, and you see if he can rekindle some of that Colorado magic. But if he's terrible, this can get away from him real quick. Hey guys, Wayfair is the place to shop for all things home. Everything from sofas to spatulas, you name it, they have it. And you get up to 70% off during Wayfair's Black Friday sale all month long. Wayfair has styles you can't find anywhere else. No generic pieces you've seen 100 times. So you can make your home way more you. Holiday season, Wayfair's been my go-to place for decorating the house. Endless options to have your home ready for hosting friends and family. They have everything you need for your living room, outdoor areas, bedroom, and more. Earn rewards and get the best savings in the neighborhood with Wayfair's new loyalty program. 5% back on every item across Wayfair's family of brands. Free shipping, members-only sales, and more. Terms do apply. Wayfair makes it easy with fast and free shipping, even on the big stuff. They'll even help you set it up. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to Wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday deals for up to 70% off. That's Wayfair.com. Sale ends December 7th. Wayfair.com. All right, so Joe Burrow was a full participant in Bengals practice on Wednesday. That was shocking to me. Here is my prediction on Burrow's status. Because keep in mind, they play Thanksgiving against Baltimore. So I don't think Burrow is going to come back this early. This would be early no matter what. Come back on Thanksgiving would be crazy. But good for him if he can do it. But I don't think he's going to come back earlier than Thanksgiving and then play in a game 4 days later. But do I now think it's possible he comes back on Thanksgiving and then has 10 days before their next game and tries to just obviously play the rest of the year? Yes. I do. That's what I think's likely. I think he misses the Patriots game and is back for the Ravens game. Now, do I think that the Bengals, that gives them a shot to get back in it? No. Is that because I think the Steelers are about to run away with it? Nope. It's simply that. I think that Bengals defense, I think the Bengals, had Joe Burrow not been hurt, they'd be in the mix for the playoffs, but they wouldn't have that much better of a record than they do right now at 3-7. Because the problem hadn't been the offense, the problem's been the defense, which they never fixed. This does, however, make me feel like the Ravens' chances of winning the division just went down significantly. Because if Burrow comes back and they just go their first 3 games, Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore, when you were looking at how the Ravens could win the division, a lot of the math was sweeping Cincy. That does get a lot harder. And now all of a sudden, if you're Baltimore, you obviously have the Jets this weekend. That's a win, or it should be. But then your final 6 games, Cincy, Pittsburgh, Cincy, New England, Green Bay, Pittsburgh. So 4 winning teams plus, or 4 games against winning teams, plus 2 against Joe Burrow. And if you're the Steelers, you're like, man, we ducked him. Now, they did lose 1 to Joe Flacco anyway, but still. The other piece of this that if I were a Bengals fan, I wouldn't be able to, I just couldn't get over, is why did we have to blow the Jets game and the Bears game the way we did? We lose 39-38 to the Jets, who we had a 14-point lead on the Jets in the 4th quarter and lost to the 0-7 Jets. And then the next week, we were down 14 at the 2-minute warning to the Bears, and a minute later had a 1-point lead and then blew that one too. Had they won one of those and were sitting at 4-6, they'd be alive. Had they won both of them and were sitting at 5-5, they might be the co-favorites in the division when Joe gets back, based on the strength of that offense alone. But they didn't, and they blew it. Just the reality of the situation. So now they can just play spoiler. And now Joe also, here's the other thing for Burrow. Because I don't know if people, obviously last year he was unbelievable in losses. This year, he played week 1 against Cleveland, played really poorly. They won 17-16 because it's the Browns. And then week 2, he barely played in a game they ended up winning against the Jags. I just think for Joe, it'll feel good to get back out there and play like Joe Burrow again and remind people how good he can be. I don't think that's going to be this weekend. I would be shocked. Hey, are you thinking about upgrading to the all-new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever, but you're also thinking about the traffic on your way to the store or the hassle of transferring all your data? Well, good news. When you order a new phone online with Boost Mobile, they'll send an expert to your home or work to deliver your brand new iPhone 17 Pro and get you all set up on Boost Mobile within minutes. No hassle. Visit boostmobile.com to get started. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms do apply. My NFC Championship game pick from before the year, Buccaneers Rams, that is Sunday Night Football. The Rams are flying the highest they have all year. The Bucs are flying the lowest they have all year. We will discuss that game much more during our Week 12, is it? Wow, Week 12. NFL gambling show tomorrow. Real quick here, though, I do want to spend a couple minutes on Bills-Texans because I think this is a very important... Let me say something about the Texans. I do not believe the Texans are in the playoff mix. And I know that technically they've got the same record as the Chiefs. I get that. I think the fact that they are home for the Bills, then at the Colts, then at the Chiefs, and then still have a game left at the Chargers and home for the Colts, I just don't think, and given how awful their offense has been all year and that CJ is still not back, I just do not think Houston is going to be able to play anything but spoiler. The Bills, on the other hand, are still in the mix for the division, but also are just a loss tonight away from feeling like they are, right back in the swirl of, hey, what the hell's going on? With games remaining at Pittsburgh, home for the Bengals, at the Patriots, and home for the Eagles. I have been encouraging Josh to be Josh. He's going to make some mistakes. You'll take it because of the wow stuff. Tonight is not a night you should need that. Tonight is a night that you should be able to win on the strength of James Cook and not turning the ball over. And so this is a good test of, can Josh throttle? We saw him last week throttle up. Can he throttle down? That's what I'm going to be watching for tonight. I expect the Bills to win. And I think the Texans' only path is multiple Bills turnovers. So we'll see if they can throttle down tonight. Listener questions. W asks, if you could flip the result of one LeBron play or game, what would it be? For me, it's finishing the dunk over Draymond in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals. I mean, yes, that would be the LeBron play that I would flip because it would be the greatest dunk in NBA history. The actual play I would change is Kyle Korver hitting the corner three in Game 3 of the 2017 NBA Finals. Or George Hill making his free throw in what became the J.R. Smith game. Those would be the two that I would change. Danny asks, if the Chiefs win all of their remaining games, could the Broncos' loss become the loss that led to the loss that led to Lombardi? That's pretty good. I'll keep that in my back pocket. Q asks, if the Chiefs miss the playoffs, wouldn't the Bills and Josh be under the most pressure by a country mile? No doubt about it. And we'll talk about, if the Chiefs end up losing this weekend, we'll talk about what that does to the rest of the AFC playoff picture, but they're not going to lose this weekend. Will they be one of my Week 12 picks? Find that out on tomorrow's show. Thank you to everybody. Like, rate, subscribe, review. Huge shout out to Volume and Blue Duck. And thank you, of course, to Hard Rock Bet, Boost, Wayfair, and the great people at Zen. Talk to you guys tomorrow for our Week 12 picks.